We spend many years studying, honing skills, and becoming proficient in a profession. But almost no one teaches us how to speak in a way that wins people's hearts. When we enter life, many problems don't stem from a lack of ability, but from words spoken at the wrong time, in the wrong place, and with the wrong mindset. A right word can open opportunities. A wrong word can ruin years-long relationships, sometimes leaving behind long-lasting, insidious consequences. Adults often mistakenly believe that simply being truthful and saying whatever comes to mind is enough. But in reality, society doesn't operate that simply. Words are not just expressions of thought. They are energy, a vital force, a signal you send to the world around you. When words are spoken without consideration, the vital force dissipates. When words are spoken hastily, the vital force becomes chaotic. When words are spoken boastfully, the vital force is depleted. This is something that our ancestors observed very carefully thousands of years ago. The ancients understood the weight of words very well. Therefore, they didn't consider speaking a trivial matter. The I Ching, Taoism, and Buddhism all emphasize controlling one's speech and words. This isn't about becoming withdrawn, but about living peacefully amidst the many conflicts of life. Speaking less keeps the mind calm. Speaking truthfully prevents resentment. Speaking just enough leaves room for retreat. This is wisdom for survival, not social trickery. Many relationships break down not because of conflicting interests, but because of a hurtful remark, an unintentional comment, or an ill-timed boast. The listener may not react immediately, but inwardly they have closed the door. From there, distance is created and opportunities are lost. Wise people don't need to say much to gain recognition. They let others feel it for themselves. Today's video shares 9 wise ways of speaking, as compiled by our ancestors. It's not about making you speak better than others, nor about manipulating anyone. It's about maintaining respect, fostering goodwill, and maintaining a stable atmosphere in all your relationships. When your words are in harmony, relationships naturally flow smoothly. When relationships flow smoothly, life becomes less turbulent. If you're tired of communicating, easily misunderstood, and unintentionally offend others, it's very likely you've never learned how to use words as a defense mechanism. Take the time to listen to this video until the end. Even a small principle might be enough to help you avoid a lot of trouble later on. And if you're looking for a gentler path in life, with fewer conflicts and less damage to relationships, subscribe to the Simple Philosophy channel. Every day, we can relearn things that seem old, but are actually the foundation for living peacefully in an increasingly complex society. 1. When we are young, we often think that being articulate is a sign of intelligence. Those who speak fluently, react quickly, and always have opinions are considered sharp-witted. But after living long enough and experiencing enough, people gradually realize the opposite truth. Listening more than speaking is the root of wisdom. Adults speak less not because they lack knowledge, but because they understand that every time they open their mouths, they express themselves, and every well-timed silence is an accumulation of wisdom. There's an old saying, too much talk leads to mistakes. It's not that words are always bad, but that when you talk too much, your mind easily becomes disturbed, your energy dissipates, and your intellect is easily revealed. The more you talk, the more you expose your ego, your opinions, your emotions, and even your weaknesses. Meanwhile, those who know how to listen are like still water, reflecting everything clearly without causing any disturbance. Listening is the root of wisdom because it helps you understand people before understanding situations. When you take the time to listen, you will understand what the other person fears, desires, and lacks. Many conflicts in life don't stem from major issues, but from the fact that no one truly listens to anyone else. Everyone wants to talk, explain, and prove themselves. In the end, only distance remains. Listening is not silent endurance. Listening is an active state of mind. It's about setting aside personal opinions to fully receive the other person. Listening to understand, not listening to wait for your turn to speak. When you listen with this mindset, others will feel respected and they will open up on their own. When people open up, many new things are revealed, something you can never get from talking a lot. Adults gradually understand that winning an argument isn't as important as understanding how to maintain a relationship. There are times when you're right, but saying it at the wrong time or in the wrong way will still result in defeat. Wise people choose to listen first, observe first, and wait for the right moment to say something useful. One well-timed sentence is worth more than 10 hastily spoken words. Listening is also a way to understand yourself. When you don't rush to react, don't rush to respond, you have time to observe your inner emotions. See where you're feeling uncomfortable, what's been hurt, when your ego is rising, when your self-esteem is being suppressed. In this way, you learn how to manage yourself. This is something very few people realize, that listening isn't just about understanding others, but also about reflecting on your own inner self. The I Ching states that a virtuous person is cautious in their speech. A virtuous person is careful with their words, not out of fear, but because they understand the consequences of their words. In Taoism, it is said that the loudest sound is silent. The greatest sound is often silent. The deepest wisdom is usually quiet. The more inner strength a person possesses, the less they speak. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they don't need to speak to prove themselves. In real life, people who know how to listen are often trusted. In the workplace, they grasp the core issues. In relationships, they maintain lasting goodwill. Others enjoy talking to them because they feel understood, respected, and safe. It's a very enduring kind of appeal. No ostentation, no glibness. Conversely, those who talk too much often inadvertently diminish their own value. Talking excessively easily reveals impatience, shallowness, lack of perseverance, and even inner insecurity. Some people talk incessantly not out of knowledge, but out of fear of silence, fear of being ignored, fear of not being recognized. When you realize this, you will appreciate intentional silence even more. Listening is also a way to conserve energy. When speaking, energy is released outwards. When listening, energy is drawn inwards. A person who knows how to balance listening and speaking knows how to store and accumulate. That is the foundation for a sustainable, long, and peaceful life. It's no coincidence that those who become more stable in their later years speak less. They choose to listen to the world instead of arguing with it. Listen not to respond. Listen to understand. This is the key point. When you listen to respond, you are preparing to counterattack. Your mind is agitated. When you listen to understand, your mind is calm. The other person senses this, and the conversation naturally moves to a deeper level. At that level, there is no longer winning or losing. Only empathy remains. If you want to be respected, learn to listen. If you want to be loved, listen with your full presence. If you want to live more peacefully amidst the turmoil of life, remember that speaking less doesn't diminish you. On the contrary, it makes you deeper, stronger, and far more trustworthy. 2. Before learning to speak well, wise people learn to understand people's hearts. Because words don't have power in themselves. The power lies in how they touch someone's heart, when and under what circumstances. The same words, when spoken to the right person at the right time, are well-intentioned. When spoken to the wrong person at the wrong time, they become an invisible knife. They don't draw blood, but they leave a wound that lasts a long time. Many people believe that simply speaking the truth is enough, but the truth shouldn't always be spoken immediately. The ancients never denied the truth, but they emphasized the importance of timing. Speaking the truth before the time is right is considered disrupting the situation. Speaking bluntly before people's hearts are open is considered hurtful. Not because the truth is wrong, but because people's hearts aren't ready to accept it. Understanding people's feelings before speaking is the foundation of wise communication. Every person has fears, pride, and their own limits of tolerance. Some people need comfort, some need guidance, and some need to save face. If you fail to recognize these inner states, even the best words can easily backfire. Experienced people often observe a great deal before speaking. They look into the other person's eyes, listen to their voice, and sense the atmosphere. They try to understand the other person's state of mind. When the mind is weak, their words should be gentle. When the mind is hardened, their words should be slow. When the mind is troubled, their words should be few. This isn't flattery, but respect for the natural order of human psychology. There are times when a well-chosen word can heal years of hurt. A timely and insightful remark can be remembered forever, not because the words are overly profound, but because they are placed in the right place, at the right time, and in the right heart. Then, words become medicine, healing without the need for preaching. Conversely, ill-timed words can easily become an invisible knife. Some people offer very valid advice, but when others are failing, losing face, or feeling hurt, the result isn't acceptance, but resistance. Not because they don't understand, but because they can't bear the feeling of being belittled. Even correct words at this moment become insulting. The I Ching teaches that a virtuous person knows the times. A virtuous person understands the times. They know when to advance, when to retreat, when to speak, and when to remain silent. This is not because they fear responsibility, but because they understand that all actions must be in accordance with the times to be beneficial. Actions taken against the times will only bring misfortune. Understanding people's feelings is also understanding the situation. A word spoken in private is completely different from a word spoken in front of a crowd. A private suggestion might be well-intentioned, but saying it in front of many people can be embarrassing. Wise people don't make others uncomfortable because they understand that making someone lose face is like closing the door to a relationship. Many relationships break down not because of malice, but because of a lack of sensitivity, a lack of putting oneself in the other person's shoes. The speaker thinks they are being frank, but the listener only feels hurt. When this gap is repeated many times, trust gradually disappears. Goodwill dwindles. In the end, no matter what you say, no one wants to listen anymore. Understanding people before speaking also means knowing when to tell the truth, when to reveal only half of it, and when to hold back. Not every truth needs to be revealed. Some things, when spoken, serve no purpose other than satisfying one's ego. Mature people understand that maintaining relationships is more important than winning a battle with a single sentence. In life and work, respected individuals are often those who speak at the right time, without being noisy or competitive. But when they do speak, everyone listens because their words are few, to the point, and don't unnecessarily hurt anyone. That's the prestige built on understanding people. Understanding people's intentions also helps you protect yourself. When you realize the other person is harboring ill will, trying to provoke you, or probing your weaknesses, you won't rush to speak. You won't reveal your true feelings. You won't let your words become a tool for others to use. Silence at this moment is wisdom. Words are a double-edged sword. They can pave the way, but they can also cut. A wise person doesn't sharpen their knife, but learns to use it in the right place, at the right time, and with the right person. When you understand people's hearts and circumstances, you will naturally speak less, but every word you utter will carry weight. If you want to go far in relationships, remember that saying the right thing is important, but saying the right thing to the right person at the right time is even more important. When words are appropriate to the situation, they become a bridge. When words are ill-timed, they become an invisible knife. Understanding this, you've taken a huge step forward on the path to speaking wisely and living peacefully in life. 3. In adult communication, a very subtle manifestation of self-cultivation lies in knowing not to interrupt, not to rush to judgment, and to listen completely before speaking. This is not just a common social skill, but a quality of a virtuous person, someone with inner depth and the ability to maintain lasting harmony in all relationships. Many people interrupt as soon as they hear someone else speak. It's not because they're bad people, but because they're impatient. They want to show that they understand, that they know, that they have an opinion. But that very moment of interrupting disrupts the other person's flow of emotion. When the flow is broken, people close their hearts. Even if the interrupted comment is right or insightful, it loses its value. Not interrupting is a profound form of respect. It tells the other person that I value what they are saying. I am willing to give them my time and attention. In a world where everyone is in a hurry, everyone wants to talk, and everyone wants to be heard, the act of fully listening is a rare and precious one. The ancients placed great importance on this. In ancient writings, listening attentively was always considered the foundation of virtue. Those who waited for others to finish speaking before intervening were able to maintain the overall situation. This was because they were not swayed by momentary emotions and did not let their ego interrupt them. This is a sign of inner strength. Not rushing to judgment is also a sign of wisdom. When others are speaking, they are not just speaking with words, but also with emotions, circumstances, and things left unsaid. If you rush to judge, you only hear the surface. You will never reach the root. Premature judgment often leads to misunderstanding. Misunderstanding breeds resentment, and resentment breeds distance. Many conflicts in life begin with jumping to conclusions before fully listening, labeling people before understanding. The speaker feels disrespected, while the listener believes they are right. As a result, no one wants to open up anymore, and relationships gradually cool down. Whereas, with just a little more patience, a little more silence, the situation could have been different. Listening fully is an art. It requires you to set your ego aside. Don't prepare answers in advance. Don't look for faults to argue against. Don't rush to compare it to your own experiences. Simply be present. When you do that, the other person will sense it, and they will speak more deeply, more honestly, and more focused. Knowing when to be silent is wisdom. It's not always necessary to speak. There are moments when your silence is the best answer. When someone is emotional, silence helps them calm down. When someone is confused, silence helps them organize their thoughts. When someone is expressing themselves, silence makes them feel heard and understood. Talkative people aren't necessarily intelligent, but those who know when to be silent are often very profound. They don't let emotions guide them. They don't let words hurt. They understand that once spoken, words cannot be taken back. But a moment of silence can save an entire relationship. In Taoism, there is the concept of non-action, Wu Wei, doing without acting, achieving results without speaking. Knowing when to be silent is a form of non-action in communication. Avoid harsh intervention. Don't impose your views. Let things unfold naturally. Then, people's hearts will adjust, and situations will transform on their own. People who wait for others to finish speaking are usually virtuous. This is because they are not self-centered. They don't consider their own thoughts to be the most important. They give others space to be themselves. In a highly competitive society, this is a very rare quality, and precisely because it is rare, it is highly valued. In the workplace, people who don't interrupt are often highly valued. They don't disrupt the collective thought process, helping to ensure smooth and complete discussions. When they speak last, their words are usually more thoughtful, comprehensive, and impactful, making them much easier for others to accept. In families, not interrupting helps reduce conflict. Many arguments between spouses and between parents and children begin with reacting before fully listening or blaming before understanding. If each side were to remain silent a little longer and listen more completely, much hurt could be avoided. In friendships, those who listen attentively are often trusted. Others are willing to share private matters because they are not afraid of being interrupted, judged, or belittled. As a result, the relationship becomes deeper and more enduring. Not interrupting doesn't mean lacking opinions. It means knowing when to speak and when to listen. A virtuous person isn't someone who doesn't speak at all, but someone who speaks at the right time, after they've understood enough, listened enough, and felt enough. When you cultivate the habit of listening attentively and knowing when to be silent, you will notice many subtle things you previously overlooked. You will understand others better, understand yourself better, and create less negative karma through your words. Life will therefore become much lighter. Of the 9 ways of wise conversation, not interrupting and not rushing to judgment are fundamental. Without this foundation, all other speaking techniques may be glib but lack virtue. The ancients considered virtue as the root and skill as the branches. A strong root naturally produces beautiful branches. If you want to be respected, learn to wait for others to finish speaking. If you want to be loved, listen without judgment. And if you want to live more peacefully amidst the many challenges of life, remember that sometimes knowing when to be silent is the wisest thing to say. 4. In adult communication, speaking is not just about producing sounds. It's a direct expression of inner feelings. A person who speaks coherently, with clear and concise words, and presents their ideas clearly, is usually someone with a clear mind and a calm intellect. Conversely, someone who speaks ramblingly, disjointedly, and without focus is often due to a disturbed mind, scattered thoughts, and a lack of self-control and organization. The ancients placed great importance on speaking clearly, not to show off one's eloquence, but because words reflect one's level of self-cultivation. When the mind is not calm, thoughts wander, and words inevitably become jumbled. When the mind is settled, thoughts are orderly, and words flow naturally and coherently. There is no need for effort or ostentation, and the listener can easily understand. Speaking clearly and coherently is, first and foremost, a sign of respect for the listener. When you clearly state what you are talking about, where you are leading, and where you are ending, the listener doesn't have to guess, piece together ideas, or feel stressed trying to follow along. They feel relaxed, and when the listener feels relaxed, your words will resonate more effectively. Many relationships become strained simply because of unclear communication. The speaker thinks they've said enough, but the listener remains confused, unable to grasp the main point or draw a conclusion. This leads to misunderstandings, frustration, and a feeling of disrespect, even though the speaker had no malicious intent. Speaking truthfully and clearly doesn't mean being blunt and unreserved. It means stating the essence of the matter without beating around the bush or concealing anything, without adding unnecessary emotions, and without mixing personal matters with public ones. Those who speak this way usually have a very clear ability to distinguish between what is a matter and what is an emotion, preventing them from mixing and spilling out into a jumbled speech. Clear presentation is a manifestation of a calm mind, because to speak clearly, one must first think clearly. To think clearly, the mind must be at peace. Impatient people often speak quickly, but unclearly. Calm people speak slowly, but accurately. In life and work, people tend to trust those who speak slowly and orderly more than those who speak rapidly, but lack coherence. The ancients taught that words must have a purpose, a theme, and a conclusion. They should be spoken so that others grasp the main point, not to simply vent everything in one's head. Speaking without focus is like throwing garbage. The listener is exhausted, and the speaker is also drained of energy. That is exhausting communication. Speaking less, but to the point, makes words valuable. Few words are remembered, and accurate words are useful to the listener. In contrast, speaking too much, even with a few correct sentences, can be lost amidst a multitude of superfluous remarks, ultimately leaving no lasting impression. Wise people understand that the value of words lies not in quantity, but in accuracy. In the workplace, those who present clearly are often entrusted with important tasks because they save others time and energy. When they report, no one has to ask for clarification repeatedly. When they offer suggestions, no one has to guess their meaning. This is a very practical skill, but its root lies in inner composure. In family life, speaking clearly and concisely helps reduce conflict significantly. Many arguments aren't about major issues, but rather because each person only speaks a part of the story. No one speaks completely, and no one listens completely. If each person clearly stated what they wanted and needed, and concluded with a shared desire, many misunderstandings would be avoided. Speaking clearly and directly is also a way to maintain boundaries. When you speak clearly, others cannot arbitrarily interpret it as they wish. They cannot distort it. They cannot exploit ambiguity. Many problems in relationships stem from unclear communication, leading to misunderstandings and conflicts. Those who speak clearly don't need to say much. They choose their words carefully before speaking. They organize their thoughts in their heads before opening their mouths. That very process is a form of self-cultivation, because they don't let emotions guide their words. They don't let their ego interfere. They don't let haste ruin the flow of communication. In Taoism, there is the concept of stillness giving rise to clarity. When the mind is calm, the intellect is clear. When the intellect is clear, speech naturally becomes lucid. There is no need to learn communication tricks. There is no need for rhetorical techniques. Just keep the mind undisturbed. Words will naturally carry weight. Conversely, people who ramble are often those with unstable inner lives. They talk to vent, to relieve anxiety, to seek validation. But unintentionally, they turn the listener into a receptacle for their emotions. Over time, no one wants to listen anymore, not because they dislike it, but because they're too tired. Speaking less, but staying focused, is also a way to conserve energy. Every word spoken consumes energy. Excessive talking is a waste of energy. Those who know how to keep their words to themselves also know how to conserve energy. They don't speak just for the sake of speaking, but only when necessary, when it's worthwhile, and when it's beneficial. Of the 9 ways to speak wisely, speaking clearly and logically is a crucial foundation. It prevents your words from becoming jarring, reassures the listener, clarifies the relationship, and prevents the speaker from being exhausted. If you want to be respected, speak clearly. If you want to be trusted, speak to the point. And if you want to live more peacefully amidst a world full of gossip and negativity, remember that a single, truthful word saying little, but getting it right, is always worth far more than 100 superfluous words. 5. In adult communication, saying the right thing isn't enough. Saying well isn't enough either. More importantly, it's about saying the right thing at the right time and place. Because words carry not only content, but also the timing, the context, and the energy of that moment. The same sentence, if spoken at the right time, opens a path. If spoken at the wrong time, it closes a door. It's not because the words themselves change, but because the timing determines their fate. Many people run into trouble in relationships, not because they say the wrong thing, but because they say it at the wrong time. When the other person is tired, when the atmosphere is tense, when people's hearts are closed. Even if you say the right thing, say something good, say something well-intentioned, it's easy to be misunderstood, met with resistance, or perceived as an attack. The ancients called this opportunistic timing, and in opportune timing, even good deeds can become bad deeds. Speaking at the right time first and foremost means understanding the other person's state of mind. Sometimes people need advice. Sometimes they just need to be listened to. Sometimes they need encouragement. Sometimes they need silence. If you can't distinguish these states, words can easily become a burden instead of support. Wise people always observe before speaking. They look at facial expressions, sense breathing, and listen to tone of voice to know whether to speak or remain silent. This isn't excessive caution, but rather respect for the natural order of human psychology. When a person's heart isn't ready, even the most eloquent words won't penetrate. When the heart is open, even a gentle word can deeply touch. Speaking in the right place is just as important as speaking at the right time. A private conversation is completely different from one made in front of a crowd. A private comment is constructive, but speaking in front of a crowd can be embarrassing. Wise people don't put others in awkward positions because they understand that saving face is the ultimate boundary in many relationships. Many conflicts at work and in the family stem from saying the right thing, but in the wrong context. Things that should be said privately are said publicly. What should be said gently is said harshly. What should wait is said hastily. All of this arises from a lack of awareness of the times and circumstances. The ancients called this not knowing the times and circumstances. In the I Ching, the concept of time appears frequently. This is because everything in life operates according to its time. Nothing is always right, and no words are always appropriate in every situation. A virtuous person does not cling rigidly to the content of words, but adapts to the times. They speak when the time is right and remain silent when it is not. Silence, when necessary, is a form of wisdom. Many people fear silence. They fear being misunderstood, missing opportunities, and being perceived as weak. But experienced individuals understand that knowing when to be silent doesn't diminish value. On the contrary, it allows them to maintain the initiative, conserve energy, and secure a way out. There are times when speaking out only makes things worse. When an argument is already heated, adding another word only fuels the fire. When someone is angry, even reasonable words won't be heard. In this situation, silence isn't a defeat. It's waiting for a more opportune moment. That's wisdom. Silence is also a form of observation. When you don't speak, you see more clearly. You see who is angry, who is stubborn, who is revealing their true emotions, and who is defensive. These are things you would never notice if you spoke too quickly. Those who know how to be silent usually grasp the situation more deeply than those who talk a lot. In life, some relationships are saved by a single moment of silence. Other relationships are ruined by a single unnecessary word. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back, but silence can preserve many things that are not yet lost. Speaking at the right time also means knowing when to wait, waiting for emotions to calm down, waiting for circumstances to change, waiting for the other person to be calm enough to listen. Impatient people often want to speak immediately, but wise people know that a little delay can prevent major mistakes. In many cases, slowness is speed. In the workplace, those who speak at the right time are highly valued. They don't interrupt, they don't cut in, and they don't speak too soon. But when the time is right, they say something that hits the mark. The whole room listens. That prestige doesn't come from eloquence, but from the ability to wait for the right moment. In a family, knowing when to be silent helps avoid a lot of hurt. When a loved one is tired, stressed, or vulnerable, even a small reproach can widen the rift. Conversely, silence accompanied by acts of care has far more healing power than words. Those who know how to speak at the right time and place are usually people who have experienced enough ups and downs. They understand that life doesn't operate according to pure logic, but rather according to emotions and circumstances. Understanding this, they don't try to win with words, but choose to win in the long run. Speaking less won't hurt you. Speaking at the right time is what makes you stronger. Because when you don't speak carelessly, every word you utter carries weight. Others will listen, think, and consider. That's the soft power of someone who keeps their word. Of the 9 ways of speaking wisely, speaking at the right time and place is the highest level. It requires observation, patience, and inner peace. When your mind is calm enough, you naturally know when to speak and when to remain silent. No tricks or techniques are needed. Wisdom will guide you. If you want to live more peacefully amidst conflict, learn to sense the moment. Don't rush to speak just to express your emotions. don't be afraid to be silent when necessary. Because sometimes, silence is the most profound language. It speaks with wisdom and preserves many valuable things for the future. 6. In communication, voice is not only a means of conveying information, but also a mirror reflecting the inner self. Ancient people judged people not only by their words, but also by their voice, because the voice carries a person's aura, mood, and inner peace. Therefore, speaking softly and slowly is not just a communication skill, but a natural expression of someone who maintains inner peace. Many people believe that to be listened to, you have to speak loudly, quickly, and extensively. But the reality is the opposite. The louder you speak, the more defensive others become. The faster you speak, the harder it is for others to keep up. Only when your voice is slow enough, low enough, and even enough will the listener have space to receive, to think, and to open up. Your voice directly reflects your inner state. When your mind is agitated, your voice tends to be quick, high-pitched, and harsh. When your mind is calm, your voice naturally becomes low, even, and rhythmic. You don't need to force your voice. You just need to calm your mind. When your mind is at peace, your words will naturally be gentle. The ancients taught that a calm mind leads to harmonious energy. Harmonious energy leads to gentle words, and gentle words are easy to listen to, believe, and follow. This is not a communication skill, but a natural law. Just as a still body of water reflects clearly, a turbulent surface distorts the image. The more agitated the mind, the more hurtful the words. The calmer the mind, the more deeply impactful the words. Speaking softly isn't a sign of weakness, but rather strength. Like a slow but deep stream of water, it's quiet yet enduring. People with inner strength don't need to use volume to prove they're right. They believe in the value of words, so they don't need to raise their voices to force others to listen. In many debates, the winner isn't the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who maintains the most consistent tone. When one side raises their voice and the other keeps it low, the initiative naturally shifts to the calmer person. This is because crowds are always drawn to stability, not agitation. Speaking slowly is also a form of respect. When you speak slowly, you give the listener time to understand, to keep up, to feel. Fast speakers often unconsciously put themselves at the center, while slow speakers prioritize understanding. This creates a sense of security in communication. In a family setting, a soft voice can resolve many conflicts. Some problems aren't due to incorrect content, but rather to hurtful language. A correct statement made in a harsh tone can cause the listener to close off. Conversely, a harsh statement made in a gentle tone is more easily accepted. In the workplace, people with calm voices are often trusted. When they speak, the room tends to fall silent, not out of fear, but because of a sense of certainty. The slowness of their speech creates a feeling of control, showing that they are not swept away by fleeting emotions. Keeping your voice soft is also a way to conserve your energy. Speaking loudly, quickly, or straining your voice drains your energy, makes your heart race, and causes shortness of breath, leading to fatigue over time. Conversely, speaking slowly and evenly allows for deeper breathing, stable blood circulation, and sustained mental fortitude. This is something that traditional Chinese medicine has pointed out since very early times. People who talk a lot and quickly tend to deplete their energy faster than those who speak less and more slowly. This is because each word consumes energy. When speaking under stress, the energy loss is even greater. Therefore, those who know how to control their voice are also those who know how to control themselves. Speaking softly also helps you hear yourself more clearly. When your voice is slow, you have time to feel what you're about to say, knowing which words to say and which to hold back. This helps avoid a lot of unnecessary words and words you might regret later. There's a subtle point. When you speak softly, others are forced to listen more attentively. They have to slow down, concentrate, and draw closer mentally. Whereas if you speak loudly, others only hear the volume, not the depth. This is why good teachers don't usually speak loudly, yet their students pay close attention. Those who maintain inner peace don't need to practice their voice. They practice their mind. When the mind is free from striving, haste, and competition, the voice naturally becomes warm, even, and persuasive. That persuasiveness doesn't come from sharp reasoning, but from the sense of security they inspire. In a noisy society, those who speak softly often stand out in their own unique way, not because they seek attention, but because they create moments of silence. And silence always has a certain allure. Amidst hurried voices, a calm, slow voice acts as an anchor, making others want to pause. Speaking softly and slowly is the result of inner cultivation. It cannot be faked for long. Someone who tries to soften their voice when their mind is still troubled will quickly reveal their forced tone. Only when truly at peace will the voice be naturally gentle. Therefore, if you want to speak well, don't start with your mouth. Start with your heart. When your heart is at peace, your words will naturally be at peace. When your words are at peace, others will naturally want to listen. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to argue, and you will still be respected and loved. Of the 9 ways to speak wisely, speaking softly and slowly is fundamental. It not only helps you win people's hearts, but also helps you maintain your own composure, energy, stamina, and calmness to go further in relationships and in life itself. 7. In adult communication, words are not only for conveying thoughts, but also reflect a deeper level of self-cultivation. Among these, humility and propriety are the most enduring foundations. The ancients considered propriety not merely a formality, but an order that helps people live peacefully together. Maintaining propriety in speech does not diminish us. On the contrary, it makes others feel safe, respected, and naturally drawn to us. Many people misunderstand humility. They think that speaking humbly is demeaning, a sign of weakness or inferiority. But in reality, truly strong individuals are not afraid of humility. They don't need words to elevate themselves. Their value lies in their abilities, their character, and their inner stability. Humility is simply a way for them to place themselves in their proper place, without competing, overpowering, or forcing others down to stand higher. Politeness in speech is not about artificial formality, but about self-control. When you maintain politeness, you don't let fleeting emotions guide your words. You know when to stop, when to say just enough, and you respect the circumstances and the person you're speaking to. This creates a very pleasant feeling. The listener feels neither attacked, nor disrespected, nor forced to be defensive. The ancients said that polite words naturally lead to harmony in people's hearts. Many relationships break down not because of major conflicts, but because of impolite words. A condescending remark, a sarcastic comment, a superior attitude, all can silently accumulate resentment. Eventually, just a small clash can cause everything to fall apart. Conversely, those who maintain politeness in their speech often attract benefactors. This is because they make others feel respected. Even if they don't receive immediate help, people are reluctant to turn their backs on them. In life, many opportunities don't come from exceptional talent, but from long-standing goodwill. And goodwill begins with polite and respectful speech. Humility does not mean weakness. Those who maintain decorum still have boundaries and principles. It's just that they don't need to use a loud voice, harsh words, or a competitive attitude to defend themselves. They use calmness and clarity. When they need to refuse, they refuse politely. When they need to argue, they argue within reasonable limits. This is what gives their words more weight. In the workplace, those who speak humbly are often entrusted with important tasks. This is because they don't create a sense of intimidation, don't take credit for others' work, and don't embarrass others. When success comes, they maintain a measured tone, thus avoiding jealousy. This is a highly effective form of self-protective intelligence. In a family, polite speech is the foundation of harmony. Just because someone is a relative doesn't mean you can speak carelessly. It's precisely because of close relationships that respect is even more important. A disrespectful word to someone close to you can cause far deeper hurt than one directed at a stranger. Those who understand etiquette will know how to be gentle in their words, even when firm in their principles. Respecting etiquette in speech is also about preserving one's own blessings. Every disrespectful word diminishes one's good fortune. Those who frequently utter contemptuous, sarcastic, or mocking remarks will inevitably encounter many obstacles over time. Relationships will fracture, and benefactors will distance themselves. This is not superstition, but the law of cause and effect in human interaction. Those who speak humbly tend to live longer and healthier lives. They experience fewer conflicts, have fewer consequences to deal with, and enjoy greater peace of mind and harmony. Their lives are therefore much lighter. In contrast, those who speak sharply, even if they win verbally, often lose heart and ultimately pay the price with loneliness. Humility also helps us learn more. When you don't put yourself in a superior position, you are more receptive to feedback, more likely to recognize your shortcomings, and more likely to improve. People who always want to show off their superiority through words often close the door to learning for themselves. Maintaining proper etiquette in speech doesn't require ostentation. It just requires sufficient respect, moderation, and awareness that every word spoken carries weight. When you speak with respect, others will sense it. And when others respect you, it's not because you bow down, but because you stand firm. Of the 9 ways of speaking wisely, speaking humbly and respectfully is the way to go the distance. It doesn't bring immediate benefits, but gradually accumulates into blessings, prestige, and lasting relationships. Those who maintain respect in their speech are preserving blessings for their entire lives. 8. Of the 9 ways of speaking wisely, knowing when to stop is considered the highest level. Speaking is difficult. Speaking correctly is even more difficult. But stopping at the right moment is true wisdom. A skilled speaker isn't necessarily highly regarded, but those who know when to speak just enough are often respected for a long time. Stopping before speaking excessively is a way to maintain harmony, preserve virtue, and secure blessings for oneself. Many relationships break down not from wrong words, but from unnecessary words. It starts with well-intentioned feedback, then comes further explanation, then proof, then repetition, until the words become harsh. The listener no longer perceives the initial good intentions, only feeling pressured, lectured, or disrespected. At that point, no matter how true the content is, it becomes hurtful. The ancients taught that words are like water. Just the right amount fills the container, but too much overflows. Overflowing water is not only wasteful, but also weights your hands. Talking too much is the same. It not only fails to add value to your words, but diminishes your dignity. The more you talk, the cheaper your words become, and the less you are valued by the listener. Knowing when to stop requires a high degree of mindfulness. Human instinct is to say everything, to explain everything, to prove oneself right, to be recognized. But wisdom lies in understanding that saying everything isn't always the best approach. There are things that are true, but don't need further explanation. There are things the listener already understands. They just aren't ready to acknowledge them. Continuing at that point will only widen the gap. Speaking just enough means mentioning the key point, and then stopping, leaving space for others to think, feel, and decide for themselves. That space is crucial. It shows respect for the listener's intellect and freedom. When you don't pressure them, they have the space to receive. When you stop at the right moment, your words have a lasting impact, weight, and depth. People who talk excessively often fall into 3 states. Firstly, they talk to release their own emotions. Secondly, they talk to control others. And thirdly, they talk out of fear of being misunderstood. All 3 states stem from an uneasy mind. When the mind is at peace, people don't need to talk much. They believe that what needed to be said has already been said, and the rest is left to time and experience to do its job. In communication, those who know when to stop speaking are usually the ones who take the initiative. This is because they don't let emotions guide them, nor do they get drawn into endless arguments. When they need to speak, they speak clearly. When they've said enough, they remain silent. This silence isn't avoidance, but rather a timely ending. Ending at the right time saves face for both parties. In a family, knowing when to stop is crucial. Many arguments could have ended sooner if one side knew when to stop. But because they want to win, want to say whatever they want to bring up old issues, words continue to flow, hurting each other. Only when they calm down do they regret the unnecessary words. In the workplace, people who know when to stop talking are highly valued. They present information clearly, concisely, without beating around the bush, repeating themselves, or trying to show off. When asked for further information, they answer. When not needed, they remain silent. This moderation creates an impression of professionalism and trustworthiness. There's a fascinating paradox. The less a person speaks, the more attention they receive each time they do. Conversely, those who speak too much, even if they're right at times, find themselves unheard of. Listeners' ears are tired. Their minds are closed. Restraint in speech is the key to preserving the weight of each word. Knowing when to stop speaking is also a form of moral cultivation. It shows that you don't make winning or losing through words your goal. You don't need to prove yourself superior. You don't need to impose your thoughts on others. You maintain humility, a peaceful mind, and mutual respect. That is what it means to uphold virtue. The ancients considered virtue to be the foundation. Words are an expression of virtue. People with profound virtue often speak little, not because they are ignorant, but because they understand the limits of speech. They know that there are things that others must discover, experience, and learn for themselves. Speaking too soon, speaking too much, can sometimes hinder the growth of the listener. Knowing when to stop talking is also a way to maintain long-term harmony. Harmony doesn't come from everyone agreeing, but from people still being able to respect each other despite differing opinions. When you stop before your words become unnecessary, you give the relationship a way out, preventing it from being pushed into a dead end. In modern society, where everyone has the opportunity to speak quickly, to speak a lot, to speak continuously, people who know when to stop are rare. Because they are rare, they are precious. They are like a moment of silence amidst the noise, making others feel comfortable, wanting to be near them, wanting to chat. Knowing when to stop speaking isn't about repression, but about choice. It's about choosing to say what needs to be said and choosing silence when words no longer offer value. That's a high degree of proactiveness. People who can do this usually live a peaceful life, are less involved in controversies, and have fewer regrets about what they've said. There are times when silence is the most complete answer. When the other person is angry, saying more only adds fuel to the fire. When the other person isn't ready to listen, saying more only makes them defensive. A wise person knows when to wait, when to retreat, and when to stop, in order to preserve both the relationship and their own dignity. Speaking just enough is also a way to conserve energy. Every word consumes vital energy and spirit. Speaking excessively is a wasteful expenditure of energy. Those who know when to stop speaking tend to maintain composure for longer periods. Their minds remain calm and their bodies don't tire. This is also a very profound form of self-protection. Ultimately, saying just enough is a sign of someone who has understood life. They understand that not everything needs an explanation, not everyone needs to be convinced, and that what is right doesn't always need to be stated. This understanding makes them more peaceful, more tolerant, and more trustworthy to others. Knowing when to stop speaking, maintaining harmony, preserving virtue, and securing a long-term future for oneself, This is not just a communication skill, but a state of being. Those who achieve this state of being are at ease wherever they go, speak appropriately, and are respected and loved wherever they are. 9. Of all verbal errors, speaking while angry is the most dangerous. When emotions run high, intellect automatically retreats. At that moment, words no longer go through consideration, no longer go through morality, but go straight from hurt to hurt. The ancients viewed anger as fire. When it flares up, it burns everything, without distinguishing right from wrong. Words spoken in anger are the same. They often leave wounds that take a long time to heal. When people are angry, their minds are clouded. Their ears only hear what they want to hear, and their mouths only say what they want to vent. The goal is no longer to solve the problem, but to release their emotions. However, the emotions released are only temporary relief, while the consequences are severe in the long run. A single angry remark can destroy years of relationships, sometimes never to be mended. Wise people understand this very well. Therefore, they don't trust their own words when they're angry. They know that at that moment, they're not their best version, not their most sensible self. So they choose silence, not out of fear, but out of respect for both themselves and others. Silence when angry is not avoidance, but intelligent delay. It allows emotions to subside, the mind to return to its center, and words, when spoken, to be free from hostility. Those who know how to wait for their minds to calm before speaking usually speak less, but their words carry more weight and are more likely to be heard. The ancients said, "A single word spoken in anger can ruin a person's life." Because when angry, people easily say things they wouldn't normally dare to say, shouldn't say, or things they've thought about but know will cause harm. Anger is like a key that unlocks the door of control, allowing sharp words to flow uncontrollably. In families, speaking when angry is the biggest cause of conflict. There are things said between spouses, parents, and children that, even if later apologized for, still leave a wound in the heart. That wound isn't loud, but silently cools down trust and warmth. Wise people understand that the closer the relationship, the more they should avoid speaking when angry. The same applies at work. An angry word to a colleague, an uncontrolled reprimand to a subordinate, can destroy long-standing respect. People may forget how you helped them, but it will be a long time before they forget how you hurt them in anger. Not speaking when angry is a sign of inner strength. People with inner strength are not carried away by their emotions. They recognize when anger is coming and proactively stop it, like a driver knowing to apply the brakes before entering a dangerous curve. That pause saves them from verbal accidents. Many people justify it by saying, "Speaking up relieves the burden." Not speaking up makes me feel resentful. But in reality, speaking when angry only shifts the burden from oneself to the other person. The speaker feels lighter, the listener feels heavier, and the relationship suffers the consequences. Truly mature people don't choose the easy way out for themselves while burdening others. Anger usually only lasts for a short time, but words linger. When the anger subsides, wisdom returns and people see the consequences. But by then, the words have been spoken and cannot be taken back. Wise people choose to wait until the anger has passed before speaking, so that when they look back, they will not regret their words. Silence during anger doesn't mean endless forbearance, but rather waiting for the right moment. When your mind has calmed, you can still clearly state your boundaries, your point of view, and what you don't accept, but do so in a calm, rational, and respectful tone. At that moment, words are no longer knives, but become a message. Those who know how to control their tongues when angry often retain good fortune. This is because they avoid much unnecessary resentment, gossip, and animosity. Their lives are therefore lighter and less fraught with conflict. The ancients considered this a very high form of self-cultivation. There's an easily recognizable sign of an intelligent person. When they're angry, they speak little, or even nothing at all. It's not because they have nothing to say, but because they know that anything they say at that moment wouldn't be good. That silence isn't cold. It has depth, making others hesitate. Speaking when angry often stems from a wounded ego. Silence when angry stems from a managed ego. Those who manage their ego and emotions can manage their words, and managing words means managing many aspects of life. Of the 10 ways to speak wisely, not speaking when angry is the life or death limit of speech. Crossing this limit will reduce negative karma created by your words, minimize enmity, and preserve your own dignity. Wise people don't win against others in anger. They win against themselves first. And that is the most lasting victory. 10. In the ancient principles of conversation, refraining from speaking ill of others behind their backs was considered a crucial moral boundary. Although spoken behind someone's back is discreet, its energy never dissipates. It silently spreads, silently connects, and sooner or later returns to the person who spoke it. Those who keep their mouths clean and avoid gossip will naturally find their path in life wide open, without needing to compete or strive. Many people believe that gossiping behind someone's back is just a way to vent their emotions, that it doesn't harm anyone, and that no one knows. But in reality, no words leave no trace. It's just a matter of where and when that trace appears. The ancients called this karma of speech. Once spoken, no matter who you say it to or where you say it, you've already sown a seed. That seed will sprout in the most unpredictable ways. Gossiping behind someone's back often stems from dissatisfaction, jealousy, hurt feelings, or a desire for emotional ally. But when you speak out, you inadvertently place yourself in a lower position than the person being gossiped about, because you need them as a target for your frustrations. Meanwhile, those who don't gossip, who remain silent, stand in a higher position. They don't need others to elevate themselves. There's a very clear rule. Those who gossip often live in an environment full of suspicion, because they are always afraid that others will talk about them the same way they talk about others. Their minds are restless, their spirits are unstable, and relationships are difficult to maintain. Conversely, those who keep their mouths clean are usually trusted, because everyone knows that even in their absence, they are still respected. The ancients taught that when you hear someone speak ill of another, you should understand that when you are absent, you may also become the subject of gossip. This habit doesn't discriminate. Today it's one person, tomorrow it's another. Ultimately, the person who gossips becomes the most untrustworthy person in the group. Not speaking ill of others behind their backs doesn't mean being blind or unable to distinguish right from wrong. It means knowing how to handle things intelligently. If there's a problem, speak directly, remain silent, or leave. Talking behind someone's back only complicates the situation, creates more resentment, and doesn't address the root cause. In the workplace, backstabbing is the quickest way to destroy your reputation. Even if you're right, the listener won't entirely side with you. They'll always wonder if you'll ever speak about them in the same way. That suspicion is enough to close off many opportunities. In life, people who gossip often think they are connecting with others, but in reality, they are forming alliances based on negativity. Such relationships are very fragile because they exist only because of shared dissatisfaction. When the person being gossiped about is no longer around, the relationship quickly breaks down and may even turn against each other. Those who keep their mouths clean are different. They may speak less, appear less frequently in discussions, but they are quietly respected. When cooperation or trust is needed, they are remembered because they don't make the shared environment toxic. Their appropriately chosen silence is a significant contribution to collective harmony. Not speaking ill of others behind their backs is also a way to protect yourself, because words carry energy. When you frequently speak negatively about others, your inner self is also filled with negativity. Over time, your energy field weakens, your mind becomes restless, and your luck naturally declines. The ancients called this harming one's own blessings without realizing it. Conversely, those who don't speak ill of others or gossip have a light heart, clear mind, and fewer worries. Their lives are therefore simpler. That's why many people feel lighter the longer they live, not because they're avoiding life, but because they've eliminated unnecessary words. There's a profound truth to this. Backbiting not only harms others, but also tarnishes the character of the person speaking. Each instance of speaking ill of someone is a transgression of moral boundaries. These boundaries, crossed repeatedly, become increasingly blurred until eventually the speaker no longer respects themselves. The ancients considered keeping one's mouth shut to be a virtue. Virtue isn't something grand, but rather small choices made each day. Choosing not to say this, choosing to remain silent at that time, choosing not to participate in gossip. These small choices accumulate gradually, creating great blessings. It's a silent but enduring accumulation of virtue. Not speaking ill of others behind their backs is also a sign of inner strength. They don't need to put others down to feel superior. They focus on their own work and their own path. This focus helps them go far, while those who constantly talk about others remain stagnant. In a turbulent society, those who keep their mouths clean are like those who hold firm to the ground. Even amidst strong winds, they stand firm. No gossip clings to them, no resentment follows them. Their path naturally opens wide, not because of luck, but because they have avoided many negative consequences from their words. Finally, not speaking ill of others behind their backs isn't about becoming a good person in the eyes of the world, but about keeping your heart pure, your words clean, and your life light. Those who can do this may not be loud or prominent, but the longer they live, the more steadfast they become, and the further they go. This is the profound wisdom of life that our ancestors silently passed down to posterity. 11. According to the ancient principles of conversation, not boasting about one's possessions is a crucial self-protective measure. Boasting isn't just about achievements. It inadvertently opens the door to envy, comparison, and resentment. Truly capable individuals speak little about themselves, not because they lack substance, but because they understand that significant achievements need no publicity. It's easy for people to fall prey to the desire for recognition. When they achieve even a little success, their instinct is to tell the story, to share it, to be praised. This is very natural, but also very dangerous, because not everyone who hears will be happy for you. Some listen to learn, but others listen to compare, to envy, to secretly create distance. The ancients understood this psychology well, so they always reminded us that if our blessings aren't yet abundant, we shouldn't rush to show them off. Showing off is like hanging a lamp in the dark night. Good people see it and avoid it, while bad people see it and seek it out. If you boast too much about achievements before they are firmly established, you are easily attacked, dragged down, or at least drained of energy by unfriendly eyes. This isn't pessimism, but the reality of human nature. Truly capable individuals don't need words to prove their worth. They let results speak for themselves. When the results are clear enough, others will see, understand, and respect them. At that point, their words, however few, will carry weight. Conversely, those who talk too much about their achievements often arouse suspicion, not because the achievements are fake, but because their manner of presentation diminishes credibility. In the workplace, those who boast tend to be scrutinized more. When you say you're good, others will unconsciously wait for you to make a mistake, just to balance their emotions. When you remain silent and do a good job, others find it harder to find reasons to deny your abilities. That silence is a very strong form of defense. There's an old saying, arrogance brings harm. Humility brings benefit. When you're arrogant, your good fortune easily diminishes. When you're humble, your good fortune easily accumulates. Boasting is a form of arrogance, whether the speaker is conscious of it or not. It sends the signal that I want to be seen, I want to be recognized, I want to be higher. This signal easily triggers a competitive spirit in others. Not showing off is also a way to keep relationships safe. Many friendships become distant, not because of major conflicts, but because one side talks too much about their own superiority. Even without intending to belittle, the listener still feels inferior. Over time, a distance forms. No one says it out loud, but everyone senses it. Truly resilient individuals focus on what they do rather than talking about what they've done. They understand that every word about achievement consumes energy that should be used to move forward, to accumulate more knowledge, and to delve deeper. Therefore, they choose silence, not out of fear, but because they know what is more important. In life, showing off easily leads to comparison. When you talk a lot about what you have, others will compare it to what they have or don't have. Comparison breeds superiority and inferiority. Superiority and inferiority breed insecurity. Insecurity accumulates into distance. Wise people avoid this at its root by not creating the conditions for comparison to begin. Not boasting is also a way to maintain peace of mind. When you don't talk much about your achievements, you're less constrained by your self-image in the eyes of others. You don't need to play a role. You don't need to act. You don't need to worry about what others think. Your mind is therefore lighter and freer. This is a huge benefit that many people don't realize. The ancients considered humility to be the foundation of lasting success. Having ability without showing off, achieving success without boasting. This is the mark of those who walk the long road. They knew that life isn't a one-time victory, but a series of stages. Maintaining endurance is more important than making a fleeting impression. Not boasting doesn't mean denying oneself, but rather knowing how to put oneself in the right place. When it's necessary to showcase their abilities, they do so clearly. When it's not, they remain silent. This proactive approach is completely different from constantly talking about oneself to seek validation. Those who let their results speak for themselves often possess a very special allure. They don't need advertising, yet others remain curious, observe, and want to learn from them. This is because people are always drawn to depth rather than superficiality. And depth never comes from boasting. In a society full of ostentation, those who know how to keep a low profile become rare. It is this restraint that makes them stand out in a lasting way. Not because of noise, but because of their stability. Not everyone understands this immediately, but those who do will remember it for a long time. Not boasting about what you have is a very high form of self-cultivation. It helps you avoid jealousy, maintain harmony, conserve energy, and quietly accumulate blessings. Those who can do this not only speak wisely, but also live wisely. Their path is therefore longer, lighter, and much safer. 12. In adult communication, avoiding verbal arguments is a very high level of achievement. Arguing about right and wrong verbally rarely yields positive results. It only satisfies the ego temporarily, but damages long-term harmony. The ancients understood this well, teaching that winning a single sentence can cost an entire relationship. Wise people don't seek to win verbally. They choose to prioritize the greater good. People easily fall into the trap of right and wrong in arguments. Initially, it's just an exchange of opinions. Then it turns into defending one's viewpoint, then defending one's ego. At that point, the important thing is no longer the truth, but who is right, who is wrong, who wins, who loses. When an argument reaches this point, no matter how logical you are, it's difficult to maintain the respect of the other person. The ancients said, when the mouth wins, the heart loses. When you use words to force someone to admit they're wrong, you may win on the surface, but deep down they've already lost. And once their heart has lost, they will withdraw their goodwill, cooperation, and trust. These are the foundations of a long-lasting relationship. Not arguing verbally doesn't mean ignoring right and wrong. It means understanding that right and wrong don't always need to be decided immediately through words. There are things that time will tell, things that results will speak for themselves, and relationships that are more important than a single debate. Wise people see beyond a simple conversation. They ask themselves, where will this dialogue lead? If winning means losing the other person, they won't choose to win. If yielding in a single sentence preserves harmony, they are willing to yield. This yielding isn't weakness, but rather strength in perspective. In families, many conflicts don't need to determine who is right or wrong. Because when loved ones are hurt, right and wrong become secondary. Wise people choose to preserve warmth, affection, and long-term peace, rather than win a meaningless argument. In the workplace, people who constantly try to win verbally often create a tense environment. Colleagues are wary, and superiors are apprehensive, because no one wants to work with someone who always wants to prove they are right. Conversely, those who know when to take a step back and prioritize the bigger picture are often trusted with important tasks because they put the common good before their personal ego. There's a profound truth to this. When you don't win with words, you force others to confront themselves. When you don't argue harshly, don't force, don't use sarcasm, the other person has space to think. And often, that measured silence is what makes them realize their mistakes far more effectively than arguing. Winning through words often stems from inner insecurity. People fear being looked down upon, fear inferiority, fear losing their position, so they need to use words to assert themselves. Those with strong inner selves don't need that. They know their value doesn't lie in saying the right thing in front of others, but in doing the right thing in the long term. The ancients believed that taking one step back is like taking 3 steps forward. Retreating in speech doesn't diminish you. It helps you stand firmer. When you avoid arguments, you conserve energy, maintain peace of mind, and preserve relationships. These things accumulated over time will take you very far. Some relationships break down because of an unnecessary argument. Looking back, people often regret not being wrong, but saying too much, being too harsh, or being too determined to win. Wise people learn to stop early, before words become a wound. Avoiding verbal arguments is also a way to maintain virtue. Every time you refrain from arguing, you prioritize harmony over ego. Virtue doesn't come from how well you speak, but from knowing when to stop. Those who maintain virtue will naturally receive blessings and have lasting relationships. In a society rife with confrontation, those who know when to step back are rare. Because they are rare, they are precious. They are like outsiders, not caught up in the cycle of winning or losing, but observing the bigger picture. This composure naturally builds their credibility. Ultimately, not winning arguments with words is a sign of someone who understands life. They understand that words are not weapons to defeat others, but rather bridges to maintain relationships, secure jobs, and secure long-term success. Winning with words only brings short-lived pleasure. Maintaining the bigger picture brings lasting stability. Wise people choose to take a step back, not because they can't win, but because they know how to win in a way that's truly worthwhile. And in many cases, not winning with words is the greatest victory. 13. In the journey of growing up, speaking responsibly is a very high standard of self-cultivation. Because words are not just fleeting sounds, but a real force that impacts people and the lives of others. The ancients viewed words like arrows. Once shot, they cannot be retrieved. Therefore, before speaking, they always asked themselves, will these words bring good fortune or misfortune? Will they uplift or hurt someone? Immature people often think that speaking is just speaking, without taking responsibility for the emotions or consequences that follow. But mature people understand very well that every word spoken carries an impact. Some words are unintentional, but leave deep wounds. Some judgments are mild, but can cause others to lose faith in themselves for years. Speaking responsibly begins with being aware of the weight of your words. Consider who you're speaking to. the circumstances, whether they are strong or weak, in need of support, or on the verge of collapse. These factors determine whether a statement becomes medicine or a knife. Wise people don't speak based on momentary emotions. They speak only after considering the long-term consequences. In the family, words are especially important and responsible. A parent's words can affect their child for life. Repeated criticism can instill a feeling of worthlessness in a child's mind. Conversely, timely encouragement can become a great source of emotional support. Adults understand that the closer the relationship, the more careful one's words must be. The same applies to work. Comments from superiors, suggestions from colleagues, if made irresponsibly, can discourage and disorient others. Some people aren't incompetent, but are hurt by thoughtless words. The speaker may forget immediately, but the listener carries the burden for a long time. Speaking responsibly doesn't mean always saying pleasant things, but rather speaking with a constructive mindset. When offering feedback, do so to help others improve, not to prove yourself superior. When criticizing, criticize behavior, not to attack the person. This is a crucial line between ethical speech and harmful speech. The ancients considered virtuous speech to be the root of blessings. Speaking kind words gradually leads to a kind heart. A kind heart leads to kind actions, and kind actions naturally lead to a prosperous life. Conversely, those who habitually utter harsh words, sarcasm, and judgment, even if talented, will find it difficult to sustain their success, because resentment will inevitably return sooner or later. Speaking responsibly also means knowing when to remain silent when words are not beneficial. Sometimes, saying nothing is the most responsible action. When you don't fully understand the situation, speaking can easily lead to misunderstandings. When you're not calm enough, speaking can easily cause hurt. Wise people choose to remain silent to avoid creating more negative karma through words. Words can lift others to great heights. A timely word of recognition can unlock buried potential. A sincere word of trust can help someone overcome their most difficult times. Mature people don't begrudge kind words because they understand that giving kindness doesn't impoverish them, but rather accumulates merit for themselves. Conversely, words can also bring others down very low. A denial, a sarcastic remark, an unfair comment, sometimes that's enough to disorient, demotivate, and destroy someone's faith in life. Those who understand this will not carelessly use words as weapons. Speaking responsibly is also about taking responsibility for your own character. Every word you utter contributes to shaping how others perceive you. Careful speakers are often trusted and respected because they inspire confidence. Those who speak carelessly, no matter how talented, will be viewed with suspicion. In a rapidly changing society, responsible speech has become a rare virtue. Because it is rare, it is very precious. Those who uphold this virtue don't need to show off, but naturally gain prestige because others know that their words are not spoken for fun, but are carefully considered. Ultimately, speaking responsibly is a form of moral cultivation in daily life. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Just reduce one hurtful word each day, add one supportive word, reduce one judgmental word, and add one empathetic word. These small things accumulate gradually, creating a person with depth, blessings, and a very lasting path. Truly mature people are accountable not only for their actions, but also for their words. They understand that a person's life is built not only on what they do, but also on the words they speak to the world. Ultimately, the ancients taught that wisdom in speech doesn't lie in the tongue, but begins in the heart. The heart is like the surface of water. When the water is still, it reflects clearly. When the water is turbulent, all images are distorted. When the inner self is still restless, still wanting to win or compete, still wanting to prove oneself, then even the most polished words are easily harsh. Conversely, when the heart is calm, words are natural and simple, yet they touch deeply and leave a lasting positive impression. A person who knows how to maintain inner peace will not rush to speak, They listen more. They observe more. They understand that each person carries their own burdens. Therefore, words are no longer a tool to prove themselves right, but a means to maintain peaceful relationships, speaking a little slower, thinking a little more carefully. Sometimes, this can prevent unnecessary hurt that can last for years. The ancients also emphasized that knowing when to be silent is a very high form of wisdom. Speaking isn't always the best approach. There are times when silence is a way to respect others and protect oneself. When emotions are running high, when the heart is unsettled, when things aren't clear, silence helps calm the mind. And when the mind is calm, words spoken will carry more weight and warmth. Wise speech also means knowing when to stop before words become superfluous. Say just enough for others to understand. Don't say more to satisfy your ego. Those who reach this level usually live very lightly. They don't need to explain too much. They don't need lengthy justifications, because their demeanor and behavior speak louder than words. When you know how to listen attentively, speak slowly, speak at a moderate pace, and know when to be silent, you will not only win people's hearts, but also maintain your own peace of mind. Relationships will become stronger, work will go more smoothly, and life will be free from many unnecessary conflicts. Life doesn't require saying more than you need to say. Just say things in a way that doesn't hurt. That's a great kind of wisdom. It's not weakness, but the strength of someone who understands human nature and understands themselves. If you find these things worth contemplating, start practicing them today. Reduce your arguments and engage in more listening. Keep your mind calm before speaking. And if you want to continue following these simple yet profound lessons, subscribe to the Simple Philosophy channel. Let's learn together each day how to live more peacefully, calmly, and securely amidst life's many changes.